than it did at the very beginning. Thank you, Carrie. It will move more quickly into that stable, supported, available place. And we need that because then we can direct not only our attention, which is half of the practice, right? Directing attention is half the practice. What's the other half? It's half of it. Tension's half.
Showing up.
Showing up. Wholehearted, we say. Full presence. Illuminating wisdom. You can call that whatever you want from whatever tradition, but it means pointing yourself in the right direction counts, but then you got to show up there. And that practice is more difficult because half the time we don't like what we ran into. And so we dissolve fairly quickly into defaults, don't we? We contract, we withdraw, we shut down, we fight, flight, or freeze. So we're going to practice making contact, placing attention, and then opening their presence, full presence. So let's begin. Not going to ring the bell again. We're already continuing in practice, talking or not talking. Let's just rest here for a moment. See if you can feel the felt sense of the breath itself, breathing in and out through open space. Be careful not to contract the mind into the tight felt sense of the breath, really creating a much larger container for the breath. If you could imagining holding the breath in a large bubble, breathing into and out from that bubble, that might be workable. Or you could imagine breathing in and out right from that whole sky-like quality, boundless quality of space. See where you can hold the breath and stay engaged. We're softening the body and letting the breath breathe and expand you. It's quite a habit to breathe the breath, which is not required. You're just experiencing, observing, witnessing. and then feeling the felt sense. And then with that stability of mind, resting in the breath, sensations, holding the breath in that open space, we're going to now begin to breathe in and out, keeping that spaciousness of breath right directly from the heart center. So finding that area for you, finding the felt sense rather than the geography. Where can you feel the sense of the heart? And this is not just the physical heart, though it will include it. It includes that inner landscape, our emotional beings, and our own loving presence. And then notice for yourself the impact as we create space, not only for the breath experience, but now for our own hearts. You may touch a tenderness, a tightness, a numbness, an ache. With each breath, simply creating space and room for whatever is arising here within this heart space. And then along with the breath and the awakened heart, we can employ the mind. And so rather than just feeling into physical felt sense, making contact with feeling tones or emotions, we can direct that very energy towards the good. And this is first acknowledging the basic goodness of our own hearts. That we are capable of love, of kindness, of compassion and care, and that this has been offered to us. And remembering that kindness, that care, that love, or compassion that has been offered by another to you, you can remember through their very benefaction, by their very love for you, that you are deserving and worthy of this love. And so you breathe it in. You can call that person to mind, remembering the felt sense of that care, and breathe it in. And then with each out breath, we simply rest in that loving container, that loving heart, that benefactors and your own loving presence. And we soften and relax and soak it in. And let it settle into the whole body. The belly soften and the hands come alive with this remembrance and now this present moment love made live and real by you. Filling the well of your whole being, every hair, every cell, every muscle. You are the receptacle of love. Drink it in through the heart with each in breath and settle it throughout the body with each out breath, making that loving heart bigger. And the hair is the hair of love. The ears are the sound of love. Vision, smell of love, taste of love, felt sense of love pervading your whole mind body. May I be happy, truly happy. May I be free from suffering and its causes. May I be grateful and rejoice for this precious human life. May I remember that there is no one in the whole of this world and beyond more deserving of my love and attention than I am myself. May I offer this now in a moment of difficulty, in a moment of happiness and ease, and at the time of death. So why do we begin with ourselves? You're not kind to yourself, you cannot be kind to others. It doesn't mean you won't have a moment, folks. You can't sustain it. You cannot sustain it. And really, it in a sense means that what I am critical about in myself, I will, through those eyes, judge the world. Does that make sense? Through the very lens that I condemn or criticize or judge, or I will cultivate a certain kind of hatred, intolerance, rejection, criticism, these judgments. And if you think those eyes go away, then when you turn towards the world, well, how would that be? How would that be? And so we begin by correcting our own vision. We remember that I am deserving of this, as then all others eventually are deserving of this. And this is a practice that is required. Okay. And when is it available? Well, every breath. Breathing in the good news, breathing in the sunny day, breathing in the beautiful flower, breathing in the love of family, a good meal, a pleasant place to live, whatever you can make contact with. And first, we're going to develop this practice, but first we recognize and offer to fuel, feed, nourish, and nurture ourselves. That's number one. What are the hindrances, obstacles, challenges with this? We don't feel worthy. We don't think we're enough. We remember the bad news, not the good news. What sticks out for us is the 17,000 things we effed up, not the 100 million thousand things we did correctly. And we decide it's not even that, because memory is just memory. We actually then decide that that's us. Somehow, how did we get so confused? We decide that that's us, not just the fear, pain, confusion arising in us, like it will. But that's somehow inherent to our innate goodness. Couldn't be more mixed up. And yet we all do it, right? We all do it. Anything else anybody wants to say about that practice or about that short statement before we go to look at the chapter 4 in the book?
I feel like I'm trying to feel something specific when you talk about feel.
Yep.
What do I just sit with the nothing? I don't feel like there's
things, sensations.
Yeah.
That's a really nice statement. So Libby's saying, should I be feeling something special? Should this have a feeling tone to it? Shouldn't it be pleasant? She didn't say all this, I'm making it up. Right? Or shouldn't I at least be able to make contact with a sensation called tight, hard, hot, easeful, open, spacious, restful? And the truth is your tension is not developed. So that's actually a lack of tension.
I feel the tension. I can feel
yes.
Right, tightness.
Yes.
But to try to make contact with what loving feels like.
So what does loving tension feel like? Tension. Wouldn't it? It would feel like tension. You're not supposed to transform that. You're supposed to be with that. That's love. right? So when your infant cries, we don't throw them away. We hold them. That's love, right? It isn't, and you don't go, if you don't stop crying, I'm going to still throw you away. You go, I'm going to keep holding you. And then I'm going to hold you some more. That's right. And you don't wait to offer that until the infant's well or quiet or sleep. You offer it, in fact, because.
I mean, it just feels like words right now. It
Yes.
still feels like words.
That's right. Well, you feel the tension. That's good enough. You just stay with it. That staying is love. It's the staying, because our brainstem is not conditioned to stay. Our brain stems, fight, flight, fix, or freeze, is conditioned to leave, go distract, go entertain, get busy, or save somebody else. Personal favorite, right? Therapize somebody else. Yeah, and then never being able to tolerate one's own experience. Numb is still a feeling. Knowing numb is numb. Knowing tense is tense. Knowing, right, gripped is gripped. Knowing more easeful is easeful. And so that attention builds so that you start to then get the very fine gradient. Oh, not quite as, oh, pinchy here, but restful there. Right. Does everybody understand what I'm saying about this? Yeah. So one of the mistakes that Libby is identifying is thinking we're supposed to feel something. That is not accurate. We're not looking to feel something. We're looking to, at this moment, place attention, sustain attention, and open. Those are the three factors, right? Gather attention, place attention, and open, rather than convert, transcend, transform, get rid of, turn into popsicles. Whatever it is, we got some great idea about doing. The truth is, we will, in the Tonglen practice, be taking that very pain and turning it into compassion, right? But not yet. Not until we can offer that essential to ourselves. Makes sense to everyone? I've got Kathy up and Lynn. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Great. Okay. I didn't say it was easy, though. So nobody heard that, right? I didn't go piece of cake, no problem, just hang out there. And sometimes we, even for ourselves, with ourselves, cannot hardly find the breath. It's jams, it stilts, it grips. We're going, I don't even know if I'm breathing exactly. And, but it's not true. You just keep breathing it in, recollecting, remembering that you have been offered love because you were not capable of it otherwise. And people who are alive and people who are not alive and people you knew and people you didn't know. Your very existence is its evidence. Mm-hmm. That you're here is its evidence. Because alone, we are not capable of this life either. And so be watchful of that separation from oneself, or I should be some certain way. It's quite a harshness, isn't it? If you think about it, look at how harsh that is. Somehow I should be some other way. What way? The way I am, and holding that. That's love. Right? That's love. No delusion. Let's go look at the book together. This is a pretty quick chapter with some fairly specific. She talks about her friend Judy. I don't, Kindle's taken its time again. So Judy was a friend of Pema's and a fiery redhead. I have heard about Judy many times through Pema's teachings. And Judy got an illness that became terminal. It was a form of cancer, as I recollect. And was given instructions by Chogyam to stop running around, basically. What about my kids? What about my house? What about, and was not attending to herself really at all, which I don't think that became so clear in the chapter. And she did. Her family moved. I think they went to Colorado or someplace like that, and brought her children, her family, her friends came to visit. She was just there. And what was striking to Pema about this is the fact that Judy was, I think, how would I just, resistant. She had young children. She didn't want to leave them. She felt that she had failed them. There was a lot of struggle. And through this period, she just became, with instruction, with support, with love, more and more able to just come into acceptance, rest in the truth that this was what it was. And she actually died then, surrounded by family, one day with a few quick breaths. And it was striking to Pema, which is, how could that person who was so fit to be tied, so in struggle, so besides themselves with distress about leaving their children, have such a beautiful death? And so she was a beautiful example of where then is how we live, how we die. Well, we are available, present, training. Every moment is its own. And so that Judy could do this in the last 6 months of her life changed her life. That she could finally open to her situation, to herself, to feel not only for her, but then for her and those others, and was able to cultivate this quality of resting with whatever is there, so that even as she was choking, it was just okay. Right? I can be with this too. Then. So I just want, that was the point of the story. It was a little bit antithetical to the title, but the point being, well, no, wait a minute. The mind you have now, and the mind you have now is going to be the one that matters, not the mind you had for the last 50 years. The one you are cultivating right now matters. And we tend to get a little lost in identity, which is, well, I've never been that person. I've never been someone who had very good attention. I've never been very friendly with myself or others. These are all mere generalizations. They're not the truth of who we are. And I think that's the point also, is that Judith was able, with supports, to find her way to herself, and then offered everyone this beautiful memory and experience. Any questions or thoughts about that? I'm going to lower this for a second. Do you get the point of the story? It's never too late, maybe is part of the point. You're always capable, might be the other point. And it doesn't matter about what you did before. It matters what you're doing now. And so do it with whole heart, whole mind. And then, as in Judith's case, see the difference that it makes, which I think is significant. So that was her. And I love that she has called her to mind many times. She also then talks about another experience of a friend who died, but really in struggle, in a fit, and that it was profoundly difficult for her. It was painful. It was paralyzing. She struggled significantly with it. And in fact, from that experience, I think made a decision to wholeheartedly train herself, so that she didn't do to herself or to others, right, that struggling. And then talks about some other fears she had through college experiences, doing the off the board thing, and that realized her capacity for contracting simply based on a quality of mind, no reality. The board was on the floor. She stepped off of it a quarter inch and thought she was done. Right? Quality of mind. And she realized then also through that experience how my mind is going to determine everything. Because look at the paralyzing fear I have, stepping off a quarter inch and knowing it. It wasn't like it was a trick. It was just a blindfolded visualization, but that quality of mind gripped her. And so don't we all know that, right? It isn't about the reality of the present moment. It's about the quality of our own minds and our perceptions about them, frequently not liking and not wanting, or wanting it to be permanent, or wanting it to be my way. Right? Those are common mind states. Don't like, don't want it and wanted to keep it, want it just like I do. Give it to me, let me hang on. None of that will work. Try it, see how it goes. We've been looking at where's permanence, where's impermanence, where's the gaps, where's the space. Can we find ways to rest there? Because there will be nothing to hold on to at the time of death. And by the way, here's the terrifying truth. There's nothing to hold on to right now. But how you are. How you are in it then determines the moment, the day, the life of you. Is it true? How you are. And that where we turn repeatedly, where we rest repeatedly, where we open repeatedly becomes a way of being that moves us not only through life, but into difficulty. And then not only difficulty, but infinite ecstatic joys. And then into the time of death. And as we will go through the chapter, the end of the whole transformation on into the next realm. We'll call it whatever that might be. Here she says, the groundlessness you feel now is similar to what you'll feel when you die. You might as well get used to it now. Looks like it's on maybe page 17 or 18 there somewhere. Resting then in space. Resting then in no handles. Resting then in I can't go, it's got to be like this and you got to be like that. And if only we could be this together, we could get it along. No, open. How do I open to this arising? How do I understand it? And how do I then make appropriate offer to it? We don't like uncertainty, insecurity, or groundlessness. We feel like we're falling, except that's also the truth of us. We are continually changing. We are not static. We are not permanent, right? We're just looking out there like it's all out there. It's actually right here. We don't like vulnerability. We don't like the truth of our humanness. And so we spend a lot of time anchoring to something false, Joko would say. False. A thing that looks permanent but will not hold you. Right? That's false. Looks permanent, but it cannot hold you. Yes, it is solidly, Rich just said, an illusion, a dream, and will not serve us well there. These states of mind are always with us. These are just qualities of mind, if not blatantly, then at least subtly in the background, that fear, that grip of wanting something permanent or solid. At various points of our lives, we experience groundlessness acutely. The moves, the transitions, the relationships, the health, all coming and going, right? And then we go, this isn't okay because I've been healthy. I should always be healthy. Really? In other cases, I've been smart. I should always be smart. I've been beautiful. I should always be beautiful. I've been rich. I should always be rich. I've been happy. I should always be happy. This is not the reality of this human life. We're going to experience all the weathers to know its truth. And that is also amazingly, weirdly, the privilege. But I'm going to know everything about this humanness. I'm looking at page 18. I didn't underline anything there. Her divorce. She goes into talking about her husband leaving her for another woman and how devastated she was by that. In her, I think, 40s, late 30s, maybe early 40s, and really hadn't seen another life for herself. Just imagine being a wife and a mother, and was from a somewhat affluent background from New York, and thought, this is my life. Went to a boarding school, rather posh little experience, and in fact, kaboom. None of that holds. He's gone, and there she is, and she goes into a crisis, and she's very honest about that. Abrupt and shocking transitions can upend our world, but no experience of groundlessness is as powerful and unsettling as the end of your own life. Yeah. So then what? Well, then she says, we better prepare. We better, right, do the things we need to do so that not only in death, but in the life we're living now, we have the supplies and the resources and the skills and the heart mind that we need. Train now. And then she talked about a couple other stories, maybe throughout the book as well, where she brought her kids to the Karmapa and she said, could you say something to my children? And he goes, train now, you're going to die. That was what he had to say to them. And she's like, no, Karmapa, they don't practice. They're not Buddhist. They don't. And he goes, right, train now, you're going to die. And the kids were like, and I really get it. I understand. And so what will I say to you? Train now, you're going to die. And by the way, not going to die, you're dying. Right, that's the truth. From the moment of birth, you are in fact dying. Train now, you are dying. And then how do we train? Well, we just offered a training, didn't we, today? Which is, can I feel for myself in the truth of that? Train now, open now, be with myself now. I am dying. As well as living today, this moment. Then we can come to see the upheavals in our life as the change of a lifetime, an infinite opportunity. Each crisis, each change becomes just one more opportunity to open. And then easier and easier. That there is nothing reliable to hold on to, that our sense of solid, stable reality is just an illusion. Rich already said that, didn't he? That's exactly right. Every time the bubble bursts, if you notice the crisis, that means you are in some kind of solid resistance, denial, and aversion to an essential reality. It doesn't mean you don't get to feel the pain of pain, right? Aging, illness, and death. It's not easy. So the pain is the pain. Can you stay with yourself in it? We're not supposed to become numb. We're not supposed to feel some other way, we've already said. And neither do we need to feed it with the storyline that this should not be happening to me. Joko wrote a book called Nothing Special. Guess who she was talking about? Me. Nothing special. We're all, this is it. This is everyone's, this is the human storyline. Nothing special, right? The stitches, the colonoscopy, the nothing special. This is the ever-present changes reality of life. How we live is how we die. For me, she says, this is the most fundamental message of the Bardo teachings. How we deal with smaller changes now is a sign of how we will deal with bigger changes later. How we relate to things falling apart right now foreshadows how we'll relate to things falling apart when we die. I would say underline that, take it out of your book, write it down somewhere, and read it every day. That's the instruction for this week. Write it down, write it in your hand, and notice the shaky tenderness of that. The essential truth of this present moment being the one in which to be most open. Can we begin right away by noticing the transitory nature of each breath, moment, day, hour, year, and learn how to hold ourselves in that compassionate abiding. Compassionate abiding, more important than attention, right? More important than attention is how do I then respond? Because if I'm just noticing, you left yourself out to dry. If you cannot respond to the truth of your own distress, to the truth of your own contraction, your own numbness, your own, and if you, but by responding, does it mean we have to offer something sucrose, saccharine, sweet? We offer ourselves. We offer ourselves. I will stay with me in this. Nothing more radical, more loving, or more compassionate than that. At the same time, we can work with our general fear and anxiety and the fact that we don't have any control over how it goes except how we are. 100% author, agent of that. How we are. We have. How it goes. Life has its own natural choreography. I loved that line. I'm going to go through here to see if there's more that I think is essential. Be watchful of our criticisms, our judgments, and our thinking we should be some other way. Never true. We are the way we are. And then she says, somehow, despite its ongoing presence in our lives, we're still not used to change. We don't like it. We don't want it. We want it to go away. If we could bring this relaxation, this openness she's talking about, to our deathbeds, we will be ready for whatever comes next. Whatever that is, and we don't have to have a belief about it. How handy. If we could open and open and open, then the pattern will simply be to keep open. Okay, I'm going to check in with the group here. We get the idea. Becoming numb is a way to protect myself, but it is so harmful. If it only really protected you, it'd be great. It is not a protection. It's a consequence. It's a cost. Because now the only thing we have is a hardened heart. And that can't breathe or beat. And so we have to be watchful. I'd like you to keep doing this kind of practice, breathing, stabilizing, breathing into the heart space, just acknowledging and being with for at least a breath or two what's there. That's it, right? Just letting it be. Okay, there's the tightness, there's the hot, there's the heart racing, there's the I can't even feel my heart. There's can I just be with myself as I am and let it be, offering myself right there a radical act of love and compassion. And if you can think of something better to do, tell me what it is. What is it? What's more loving than that? And see if you can't find what's more loving. The being with oneself, offering oneself one's own heart mind. All right, everyone. I want to thank you so much for being with me today for chapter 4. I will write. Thank you. I'll write a little summary for this because I want you to copy down that quote, read it every day, and then practice in little moments or in big. Breathing into the heart space, knowing how we are, calling them by name, tight, hot, hard, gripped, dead, and staying, opening, and feeling for yourself. Could you use the phrases? You could. More important to me today is just stay. We'll get fancy with the phrases later, right? But if you can't stay, there's nobody to offer to. And so we'll start there. Thank you, everyone. Blessings to you all. I will be in retreat. I will see people there. I hope you will join us. And then we will be back together next Tuesday at 7 o'clock. No 7:15 sitting tomorrow, except the one you give yourself. Give that one to yourself because remember, you're giving it to us all as well. All right, everyone, be well. Good to see you.